Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, we're entering into an unprecedented time here in the U.S. of A. Many are saying the president must concede the race and stop the baseless claims, especially the mainstream media. ABC, NBC, MSNBC, some on Fox, and others. But I say God in past times has winked at the U.S. and its corruption. But now I think the winking is over. The media in this country has run amok. They're no longer journalists, they're opinion piece people now. They don't bring us true news, they just bring us their opinion. Now, I'm a talk show host, so I bring you my opinion, but they're supposed to be reporting the news as it is, the truth. Truth has become a lie in this country, and a lie has become the truth as stated in the Holy Scriptures. In this society, it would not be so bad except for the fact that we are spreading this garbage abroad around the world. They're not just lying to the people here in the U.S., the Democrat Party and the fake news media, the big tech. They're lying to the entire world. I've not given up on this country yet. I won't ever give up on this country. And it is President Donald J. Trump. He has broken records before, and I believe he'll do it again. If there's any president who deserves a second term, it is President Donald J. Trump. He has done nothing but good for the people. His America First plan has been great. This country was supposed to be in the Declaration of Independence, a country by the people, for the people. It's supposed to be a country that is run to take care of its people. But here in this country, for many years, the Democrat Party has accused and abused the people in this country. The only party that pretty much has stood up for us, which a lot of people have been blinded to, has been the Republican Party. As I've told you many times before, as an African American, they were against the Emancipation Proclamation. They were against the Civil Rights Act. They were the ones who created Jim Crow laws. Even now in Georgia, they're fighting a fight in Georgia because of the corruption in Georgia in their election process. Does anybody remember somebody by the name of George Wallace, Democrat in Georgia, a racist? Until he was shot, he didn't come over to care about anybody. But when his attempt was made on his life, he turned over. A lot of people, some of you are too young to remember that. But that was coming out of Georgia. Pennsylvania also has these issues. A corrupt city. Michigan, come on, all of them have history of corruption. Yet our president and even the Democrat Party has even said in the past that there were problems in these states. Yet all of a sudden, because President Trump wants to take people to court over bad elections or how they run it, all of a sudden now he's wrong. Somehow these states have become perfect. There's nothing wrong with the mail-in ballots. There's no fraud. Give me a freaking break. This is getting so ridiculous, it's a shame. This impeachment sham that happened last year wasted a lot of taxpayers' money, accomplishing nothing. And coming up into this year, the same thing. I don't understand why anybody would even want Joe Biden as president. And this is one of the reasons I believe the votes that we received more votes than President Obama. Give me a break. That's a bunch of garbage. Those votes are tabulated wrong. It's already saying that the numbers were not accurate. They were not meeting. And so everybody voted Democrat in this position. And this happened to, say, Joe Biden, and you found out that somebody in the Republican Party was doing stuff, especially the corruption with his son Hunter. Goodness, it would have been all over the news that it had been Donald J. Trump Jr. Yet he opposes America first, and the mainstream media just goes along with it like there's nothing wrong with that. This is supposed to be a government for the people and by the people. Why would you want to send a vaccine to the World Health Organization, somebody we no longer associate with, and neglect the people here in America, Joe Biden? Why? Why is that? Why do you want to send it to China, who created this virus in the first place? He comes out and he says the battle for the soul of a nation is on the line. Yes, he was right saying that, because he is one of the ones on the side that's trying to destroy this nation, defunding police, ignoring riots by radical leftists out there. I heard a young lady say today on, I believe it was Sky News in Australia, and she said that the way it looks to her, and she's telling the truth, and I said it too. I'd like to meet with her because we think the same way. We're headed toward a civil war or a civil revolution. I'm sorry. This is just the way it is. Either way, we're going to have some conflict, because if President Trump is put in and proven that, which it should be anyway, that he should be reelected, anytime you got hundreds of thousands of votes coming in at the last minute and all of them have Joe Biden's name on it, and you have ballots that coming in with one name on it, only being checked, one ballot, one name, the presidential running. You know, where did the ballots go for Trump? 400,000 or so, or 700,000 in Pennsylvania, and 400-some thousand in Michigan and Wisconsin. They just disappeared. They closed down the polls. They shut down the vote. Yet I hear they will continue to count. Wait a minute, I thought they said he shut it down. No. What they wanted to do is hide the results and change the results as they went. I heard a testimony today that they had the ability. A man came out and said, look, it was at the Arizona hearings. He said, I got the ability to go in and change millions of votes in a matter of minutes. Push a button, and all the votes will go for Joe Biden, or go for Trump, will go to Joe Biden. And everybody's acting like this is impossible. What did I tell you in my earlier program? I told you you're dealing with computers, you're dealing with the ability to hack. I'd rather they just do paper ballots and turn the ballots in. Because these computerized ballots, it would probably have taken just as long to count handwritten ballots. So we should just go ahead and go back to a straight ballot system, allow our poll watchers to come in and stop avoiding them. Joe Biden also broke his foot today playing around with his dog. So better place for his foot than in his mouth. Most of the time he puts his foot in his mouth with the statements that he makes. He opens his mouth and removes all doubt that he's not quite there. A victory also in Utah, 4th District, Republican wins. An African-American gentleman by the name of Burgess Owens has won. He won by 2,100 votes. And he has taken the 13th seat on the House of Representatives. That seat was flipped once again by the Republican Party, and we got another flip coming on the way soon. And I'm telling you, in 2022, goodbye to Democratic leadership in the House and in the Senate. We need to get rid of Chuck Schumer. We need to get rid of Nancy Pelosi. But the reason they've been in there all this time, people, is because of this crooked voting system that they have. On Sunday, President Trump had an interview with Maria Bartiromo. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth.
Hello, CTM News viewers. We love you and appreciate you. I'm, of course, Raina Rose, host of Soul Nutrition on CTM News. I'm excited to tell you about my new book, Sin Tastes Good, Nourishing Your Soul in an Empty-Calorie World, where we explore connection to God, self, and other people around us. Have you ever wanted to deepen your connection with God, deepen your connection with those around you, and deepen your connection with yourself, well, this is the book for you. We dig into questions about what we want our lives to look like and answers of how to get there. It comes out Thanksgiving 2020, and I can't wait to have you all read Sin Tastes Good along with me. For special updates, please follow my Instagram, which is The Soul Nutritionist, with little underscores underneath the words. And also, if you would like to email me for some exclusive content from this book, my email is raina@raina-rose.com. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. God bless and keep you, and nourish your soul.
Welcome back. You're watching The Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, President Trump was on there for his first interview since the election. The mainstream media continues to call his claims baseless. I'm a little upset with Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson for saying that there's nothing going to happen and it's just a waste of time. He should just go ahead and concede. I know they didn't say that exactly, but pretty much that's what we were talking, the gloom and doom. We need to get off of this, people, because this corruption needs to stop. And President Trump is not going to stop the Democrat Party until he finds out who the players are in this. And guess what? He's got almost 2 months to make it happen and to find out who is behind all this garbage. And I think he's going to find out that the big guy has a lot to do with it, even though he don't even know where he is half the time. There's 6 states that are in concession, that are in this whole thing of these lawsuits. It's going to go before the Supreme Court, and they're already talking ahead, talking about that President Trump is going to have the court, the conservative court, go his way. Now, the people are justices. These people were voted in by those people who voted in justices. Now, granted, the last 2 justices had an overwhelming majority in the Senate. So, hey, if it was Democrat like they did with Ginsburg, I wouldn't have voted for Ginsburg. I'm sure a lot of Republicans didn't vote for Ginsburg. She wanted to kill babies and she wanted to do all these things. But our Republicans are pro-life. Or at least our president most definitely is pro-life. But, of course, the mainstream media is continuing to say that his claims are baseless, regardless of all the evidence. All the science, even the coronavirus, so much science, so much evidence. So when President Trump gets the evidence or he proves the science, then all of a sudden, nobody's saying anything about the science anymore. Anybody hear anything about the science on the coronavirus? I haven't heard anything about it. But now all of a sudden, he got Pfizer to do it. He didn't have anything to do it. He just put them up to do it. And AstraZeneca, all these people got it, and they got a vaccine for the virus. Did President Trump do it? No. He just created Project Warp Speed. But of course, anything that he does, they come out against it. This is pure foolishness. To me, this is racism at its top level with the Democrat Party. And what I tell you before, they are the systemic racists. They practiced it for hundreds of years, and they perfected systemic racism. They're racist. They were racist back in 1865. They were racist in 1964. And they also are racist in the Jim Crow Act, in the 50s or whatever, segregation, they're busing. Joe Biden was behind the busing thing. He stood at the funeral of Robert Byrd, a freaking Klansman. Probably was a grand wizard, and he stood behind him like everything was peachy keen. Yet everybody ignores that, and they keep asking President Trump whether he's a white supremacist or whether he supports the white supremacists. And then they get on Maria Bartiromo and saying that she was too easy on President Trump. She didn't ask him any tough questions. She asked him the questions and allowed him to give answers. It's because you Democrat parties, you want to ask the question, but you want to give the answer. You don't want people to answer anything. We've seen it in Congress. We've seen it in the Senate. We've seen it too many times where you won't shut your big mouth and let the people you ask questions, like you did with Amy Coney Barrett, let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. You ask a question, shut your big mouth and let them talk. I hope we don't see this garbage in Congress anymore, especially when it comes to people coming to Congress to testify. Shut your mouth and let them testify, Democrats. That's disrespectful. Didn't you learn anything about manners when you were coming up? If you ask a question, you wait to receive the answer. If you disagree with the answer, you can rebut it. But you can't tell somebody that, hey, this is my time, I got time, shut up. I'm telling you, there's so many crooked elections that went on during this time. It wasn't only the presidential election. There's so many people like our, here in this area here, this, whatever named Jackson Lee. She should have been voted out. Powell was a much better candidate. But, of course, she had the Democrats in her pocket, the corrupt finances and computer shifting and stuff that goes on in their party was right behind her. Truth is no longer accepted by the mainstream media. They don't accept truth. If it's true, they try to hide it and throw it under a rug. That's what they did with the Hunter Biden thing. If it hadn't been President Trump, they would still be talking about his son right now. Why are we not talking about Hunter Biden and his corrupt communications with the Ukraine and with China, and also with Joe Biden being a part of the whole mess and his quid pro quo? He should be impeached before he even goes in office. If he's the president-elect, I want the Republican Party, if he gets in there, I want them to impeach him from the very start. If he get in there, pull him up on impeachment. Let him defend himself, because we have the facts. We have the truth on Joe Biden and his corruption. They had no proof on President Trump at all, so they had to release it because all they had was lies. What did I tell you? The mainstream media only looks at lies now. If it's a lie, I'll take the lie. But the truth, they want to shut it up. Just like they did in Jesus' time. They wanted to shut Jesus up because Jesus was saying the truth. So what they do to him, they killed him. Dominion, President Trump talked about the Dominion fraud, the quote-unquote glitches that shift votes from one candidate to another. Mail-in ballots coming in late at night, 3 a.m. in the morning. And there was a gentleman in the Philippines who ran for Congress there, said they did the same thing. President Trump, there were people there that voted and applied for ballots, absentee ballots that had been dead, some up to 10 years they were dead. Yet they applied for ballots and they voted. They were dead. I don't think you can vote from the ground. They were dead, thousands, not just a few hundred or just a few little here. There were thousands of people who are dead who voted. You don't think this election was corrupt? I think the whole thing should be done all over again. Really, that's the way I feel. If you got dead people voting in different states and then nobody's saying anything, then they need to bring it up. The FBI and the DOJ, the reason why President Trump, and they're not doing anything about all this, the FBI and the DOJ are afraid of President Trump. They know that if they allow him to get reelected, they are going to be continued to be brought before Congress and the Senate to answer for their crimes against this country. Their crimes against this country and against this president. There are two standards in this country. One is for the rich and the famous and the politicians that want to keep their seat in the House of Representatives or the Senate, and one for us, the American people, who don't, the Democrats don't want America first, they want America last. Have you ever asked yourself how we came from producers to consumers? It's because your sorry Democratic presidents, Clinton, Biden and his crew with Obama, sold our jobs overseas, and all of a sudden we're buying stuff. We still buy stuff overseas. It was a funny thing to me. I went into a store and I was looking at masks because they require you to wear a mask. You know where the mask come from? Look at your mask. Take it off your face. Most of your masks come from China. The very ones that cause this freaking coronavirus are the ones that are selling masks in this country and probably making millions of dollars off the fools that accepted this garbage in this country. There are two standards, as I said. There were votes that were untimely, and people were told to backdate votes for as far as the 6th of November. What kind of foolishness is this? And the mainstream media is just ignoring it, saying that President Trump's claims are baseless. Yet we got hundreds of people with affidavits stating that this is true under penalty of perjury. Would you want to go to jail for telling a lie? No, they didn't tell a lie. They told the truth. I like what the Federalist said about Biden's campaign. They called it the Biden magic. The numbers don't match. Federalists called it statistical impossibilities. Statistical impossibility. They say that there's 5 standards where a president should become the president. And President Trump meets all 5. You only need 1 to be elected president. Now, I didn't get all those 5 standards, but maybe I'll research and do that. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but the Democrat Party had lawyers going all over the country when this year came in trying to change the legislature and change the legislation for voting. They tried to get every state to accept mail-in voting, especially the swing states. They had their lawyers there. Yet you don't hear much about that. That's a little underhanded stuff. But to me, the Democrat Party is just like a criminal crime organization. They do stuff underhandedly. Why was there no problem with their lawyers and their courts there? It's because they got a lot of liberal judges on the bench in these different states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. They got liberal judges. Yeah, they're going to turn out. President Trump and his legal team knew they were going to turn it down because we want to take this to the highest court. We want to take it to the Supreme Court and see, because we know that they're going to honor the Constitution of this country. And that's the problem right now. The Democrats want to get rid of the Constitution. They're radical, far leftists. They want to get rid of the police, and they don't care about America. They don't want America first. They want the rest of the world first. Forget about America. And that's really the truth. That's their mindset. They can kill us. They can make more money from overseas than they can here in America. At least that's what they believe. I don't believe it's true. A little known fact is that the Democrat Party's lawyers were scared on the land, as I said before, to try to sway the vote. The mainstream media has pawns of the Democrat Party because they have become propaganda machines. There's no longer hardly any true news anymore. A lot of it's fake, a lot of it's lies. They'll take a lie, push it out there as the truth, and they refuse to retract it. You don't even see nobody retracting lies anymore. Talk about it, president of quid pro quo. That conversation, none of it sounded like quid pro quo. But Biden got in front of national TV or international TV and did a quid pro quo. If they don't do this, then I ain't giving them $1 billion, which is not his freaking $1 billion to give anyway. It belongs to the American people. They're screwing us, people. We got to do something. We got to stand up and fight. If we got to fight, physically, emotionally, whatever we got to do. We've got to fight because they're trying to destroy this country. They're trying to destroy our Constitution. They're trying to take away our First Amendment rights and our Second Amendment rights. And the mainstream media is their propaganda machine, talking about basis. They know this stuff's not basis. They reported on it themselves. Some of them even talked about it. The New York Times even talked about the corruption and fraud in the election process in different states that are now being investigated. They even talked about it themselves. Look at their media history. They're a bunch of freaking liars. They even calling themselves liars. They report on the darn stuff and then go back and say they lied themselves. What can you believe if they're going to lie on their own selves and tell you what they're saying now is the truth? Propaganda machines for the Democrat Party, saying whatever they're told to say for the right price. And that's really what it's about. There's money flowing all over the place. Nobody asked whatever happened to that $600 million that President Obama kept back during his time in office. What happened to all that money? Were people paid off? Because he said he had a surplus just sitting there. What happened to it all? I'm telling you, it was greasing media pockets, greasing media organizations, people, politicians, anything to get things to go the Democrat way. I'm telling you, people, If you're a Democrat, you better get away from them. Because regardless of what they're doing, even if they get away with it, God sees. He knows what side you come down on. The side of corruption is never going to be right before God and before the country that was founded on Judeo-Christian values. They want to kill babies. They want to defund police. They don't care about the American people. We've got to do something, people. Some of you out there may be a politician. Get out in the next election and run. Those of you who are Republicans, those of you who have a strong base in these different areas where you got Democrats, get behind, get your base, and we'll promote it here on this channel, whatever, and get you elected. Maybe we can even start right away for the next 2 years and working on turning that House of Representatives back over to the Conservative and the Republican Party. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert, here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Once again, I want to say, well, like I always say, I want to say God bless you, God bless America, and God bless our world. Until the next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.